Hey guys, back here for another weekly tip, and this week's topic is the injury management program. And we've stressed on the injury management program time and time again with a lot of our insurers and probably a lot of you. I'm sure everyone is really familiar with, for the most part, the experience modification factor and how that looks at the number of claims, the size of claims, and the type of claims as well. And by type, I mean medical only versus lost time. But I'm not sure that everyone has a deeper understanding of just how important that type of claim can be and what kind of impact that can have on your overall cost. So, for example, if you have an employee of yours that gets hurt carrying something, turns out to be a shoulder injury, and they go to an occupational health clinic, right? They go to the clinic, the doctor says, okay, your shoulder is hurt pretty bad, you're not able to return to work with your normal duties, but unfortunately you haven't set up your return to work or light duty program, and that employee hasn't signed off or agreed on that. So the doctor really has no other choice but to put the employee off of work for at least, say, a month until the next appointment is available. And what you end up having there is a lost time claim, obviously, and you have to compensate that employee for 2/3 of their wages while they're not working or giving you any productivity. So I think we're all familiar with that, but I really wanted to stress the importance of getting your employees back to work as soon as possible, and a big piece of making sure that you can do that is having this injury management program set up. So with that said, here are the 7 things that you need to have a good, effective injury management program for your business. So your first piece to your injury management program is going to be having the proper written procedures in place so that it's documented and employees can sign off and say that they've seen the procedures. So you want to have forms like your FROI, First Report of Injury form, to report what happened at the accident site or wherever it may be. You want to have your return to work and light duty program set up and in place, have the employees sign off on it when they're onboarded, and then you also want to have your accident investigation so you can go back after an injury and look at what happened, why, and prevent it from happening in the future. After you get your written procedures, then you want to look into your occupational health clinic. And I know some workers' comp carriers will help you get set up with occupational health clinics, but what you really want to do is create a good working relationship with the occupational health clinic. Make sure that they're aware of what you and your employees are doing out on the job sites, and they have a good understanding of what kind of restrictions employees can and cannot work with, along with a good copy of the light duty program so that they know employees, say with a shoulder injury, can come back and do some light duty work in the office or wherever it may be. Get creative again with the return to work program. I know you can have employees volunteer at places if you don't have any light duty positions available for them at your actual business. So just keep that stuff in mind, and keep in mind that you want to be creative with it and get the employees back to work as quickly as possible. Thirdly, you want to make sure your employees are educated on the injury management program. Like I mentioned in the article, tree care is obviously a high-risk industry. We all know that. There are dangers that come along with doing tree work, but your company may not experience an injury for a number of years. Depending on the size, you may not have a claim for 5 to 10 years, and you really want to make sure that your employees know what to do in the case of an injury. We like to give our insurers injury reporting packets, and you keep one in each vehicle so that the employee can kind of just work down a checklist of what information they need and what they should bring to the occupational health clinic closest to them in the case of an injury. Obviously, the first one would be to call 911 if it's an emergency. I think that's pretty obvious, but after that, if it's a little bit more manageable, you want to make sure your employees know exactly what to do in the case of an injury. Steps 4 through 6 then are really based around that occupational health clinic. Most likely, if something does happen on a job site, the employee is going to give either the owner or an office manager or whoever a call just to explain what happened. And even though you have the injury reporting packet in the vehicle, they might still ask you what to do. So step 4 would be to direct them to the best occupational health clinic or urgent care, whatever is the most fitting for that situation. And then what you want to do if you're the owner, office manager, whoever is managing the injury, give the occupational health clinic a call. Tell them that the employee is coming in, explain what happened, explain that you have light duty available, and then the employee should be coming in with all that information. So that's 4 and 5. Step 6 then would be to make sure that you follow up not only with the occupational health clinic, but to follow up closely with the employee. Make sure that they are okay first of all, and most importantly that they're okay and not worried about dangers in the workplace or anything along those lines. Just kind of comfort them, let them know that everything is going to be okay with the injury and you'll take care of everything going forward, and just to keep communication between the employee, the occupational health clinic, and you as the business owner or injury manager. Then lastly, step 7 is kind of all the steps combined together. You want to make sure that you're doing the very best that you can to get your employee back to work as quickly as possible. Like I mentioned, the injuries that have to compensate the employee for lost time due to not being able to work on light duty restrictions impact your experience mod much more than the claims that are medical only. So our end goal is to get the employee back to work and be comfortable as quick as possible. Check with your state guidelines on what that return to work timeline is. Some states it's 3 days, some it's 5, some it's 7, and so on. So make sure that you're aware of your state's restrictions, and if you guys have any questions on the policies, procedures, or anything along the injury management process, feel free to reach out to myself or an arborist team member. And as always, hope you guys are doing well and stay safe.